Organ transplant and organ rejections. Organ transplantation is often the only treatment for end-stage organ failures. All tissues in your body process unique antigens that help identify themselves to your immune system. However, when someone receives an organ transplant, the antigens on the donor organ is recognized as foreign and thus an immune response is initiated whereas eventually leads to the rejection of that organ. As mentioned before, this process is normally reserved for fighting bacteria and viruses, but in this unique case, the immune system starts attacking the donor organ. There are three types of organ rejections, all of whom vary depending upon how long it takes for the donor are going to be rejected. First, there is hyperacute organ rejection, which happens almost immediately. Second, there is acute organ rejection, which happens after a few weeks of receiving in the First, there is hyperacute organ rejection, which happens almost immediately. Second, there is acute organ rejection, which happens after a few weeks of receiving in donor organ. And finally, there's chronic organ rejection, which happens over a long period of time, typically years. The hyperacute rejection of it, which is also called the white graft rejection, is caused by type 2 hypersensitivity and it occurs in minutes. Acute rejection, which is the most common, is caused by time for hypersensitivity and usually takes months to occur, and this time of the host will slowly develop antibodies against the donor. It's also very common in heart transplants. Chronic rejection, we have both type 2 and type 4 hypersensitivity and takes years to develop. This time, the host will develop antibodies after exposure to the donor. The immune response. If immune tolerance is failed, then autoimmune disease in our body can happen. Our bodies are generally immune to self-antigens. The autoimmune disease is prevented since the self-antigen will not recognize as a foreign substance. Immune tolerance is the state of being non-responsive to the self-antigen. Because of this, you will develop immune action against self-antigens that should not be present, and you will develop antibodies against your self-antigen, resulting in autoimmune disease. The immune system disorders. The immune system protects us from all kinds like enemies, but imagine our protectors, which is to protect us from all sorts of harmful effects, turn their face against us, and instead of protecting our body, they start harming our own body. In this type of situation happens during autoimmune disorders, but instead of protecting our own immune cells like T cells and B cells in the plasma, hit our own body like rheumatoid arthritis, where auto-received T cells considered of our body to be foreign and they counter our own body. And that's why we get severe pain, and that's why we get severe joint pain and distortion of our finger joints. In this case of Hashimoto's thyroiditis, where autoreactive plasma cells produce autoreactive antibodies against thyroid gland, and the thyroid gland depleted, and there is severe inflammation of that tissue. In myasthenia gravis, the situation is the same. Autoreactive B cells produce antibody against the postsynaptic receptor that leads to abnormalities in the neuromuscular junction, leading to severe muscle pain and inflammation.